Well, there's my nightmare fuel for the next few weeks. For the second week in a row, we got another Madoka-centric episode. Though, at least we were warned in advance that this Precure was going to get a doubleheader. Isn't that right? Elena episode that wasn't really an Elena episode. Yeah, anyway, we opened with her qualifying for the archery nationals. Her friends, of course, congratulated her, but Madoka was more concerned about pleasing her father.
So what's to know?
Apparently, he was spending restless nights trying to find any traces of aliens like the one she was harboring. Okay, jokes aside, I do like that Madoka is trying to somewhat make amends with her father by at least living up to his expectations. Said parent was also focused on his work as he didn't completely buy Abraham's movie cover-up from episode 12, so yeah, good on him for being better at his job than most government workers. And here's hoping this subplot continues. Heck, you can even measure his determination by how he performs a familiar-looking evil dad pose. Why am I wearing sunglasses indoors? In between all of this, Sakurako provides some explanation as to what the archery nationals were, as well as scheming to overtake Madoka's position should she lose to a dark horse who would appear later in the episode. She schemed for so long that she completely missed out on recess. Yeah, I got nothing. That was just perfect. As the day of the Nationals approached, Madoka reflected on her accomplishments, as well as her father's, whose legacy she was carrying on, and who drew the teenage boy with the head of some old dude in his 40s? Thank you for that, Star Twinkle. Thank you. Anyway, the day of the tournament finally arrived, and we got to see the dark horse Sakurako mentioned, who was, gender-bent Domonkashu. Well, to be more precise, she was more like pre-character development Domon, as she didn't believe in the power of friendship, and yeah, you know where this plot is going. Said friends met Madoka's mother. Hikaru, meet Hikaru! Yeah, don't you love it when these veteran VAs can kind of get the rub to the newbies like this? However, her husband was nowhere to be found. Regardless, Madoka managed to proceed through the tournament with no real issue until she competed with Domon, or rather, Yumika. Again, as somebody who trained in Kendo for a little while, I gotta say, I love moments like this, as it perfectly illustrates the concept of ki. For those who have watched a lot of DBZ, you might associate it with that magical energy force that lets people fire lasers out of their hands. Well, in actuality, while it is somewhat of a mystical force, it's not that fantastical. Basically, it's an intangible force that can be felt in moments of extreme concentration. In this scene, it's clear that Yumika is not in Madoka's line of sight at all, and yet just through the clever usage of a sudden palette swap, we can tell that she's exerting her ki and throwing Madoka off her game without even physically doing anything. Really good stuff. Anyway, Madoka still just barely managed to land an acceptable hit and tied with Yumika. Thus, the two of them were going to compete one-on-one in a sudden death round. The tournament allowed the competitors to take a lunch break. During this time, the Precure wanted to do something more to cheer on their friend, to which Fua had a very toyetic solution. Let's see here, sort by newest arrivals, and yes, it's already up on Amazon. Wow, those guys in the marketing team work fast. Yeah, nothing really against this episode or anything. I know they have to sell this stuff, but damn, they're not being the least bit subtle. I mean, they even take a few minutes out of the episode to give a full-on tutorial of this thing, for goodness sake. Anyway, after that overextended commercial, they invited Madoka to eat with them. Elena tried to win some waifu points with her by making a bunch of foods with katsu in their names, as the word also happened to be a homonym for victory. However, Madoka wasn't feeling like a winner, as Yumika had already called her a weakling for losing her focus by having friends, and yeah, they just gave her a new plastic trinket to help raise her spirits, so Domon was just full of it. Though this did end up making her a perfect target for I-1, using her Dark Aries pen that thankfully they got right this week. She created a monster of the week, and oh come on Nintendo, we keep telling you, we don't like it when you make the weak spot so obvious. Sorry, Impulse. Anyway, the Precure engaged the archer no trigger, who mostly just used his bow as a close range weapon.
So we have a mere bowman who thinks he's a swordsman!
Understandably, Madoka was upset by the note trigger's gross misusage of Yumika's bow, though she then rather suddenly got really upset when Iwan taunted her a little. Yes, that strong rivalry they built up over the course of this episode! Even though it was actually more focused around Madoka bonding with her team. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good that Madoka respects her opponent, and I have no doubt that she would want to have a proper duel with her, but speaking in terms of this episode itself, is this really the subject that should be used for the big speech moment? Well, anyway, Madoka used her Sagittarius arrow, I'm guessing we're not going to see the Capricorn for a while, and they finished it off with the Southern Cross. With Yumika rescued, they proceeded to the actual main event of the episode. And Mr. Kage even finally showed up to cheer his daughter on. Yeah, I don't see Tsundere daddies catching on anytime soon. Madoka and Yumika managed to remain dead even until the latter lost concentration while thinking about Madoka and her friends, and then just Madoka. Oh, I think I can already hear the pens of the new shippers at work. With that slip up and her friends and family backing her, Madoka won the championship. Thus, the episode ended with Madoka and Yumika receiving their respective awards from Colonel Sanders, and the two promising to meet again next year. It's worth noting that this week's episode was written by Miharu Hirami, the writer of episode 9. You know, the other Madoka episode that was pretty much just a retread of her intro episode. Yeah, obviously the second attempt was much better. Unlike episode 9, this felt like an actual progression in Madoka's arc. As popular as she is, Madoka probably never had any real friends and thus didn't understand how truly invaluable they are. And with her ongoing concerns that she was inconveniencing her father into restless nights, learning about friendship probably wasn't at the top of her to-do list. However, as much as I made fun of it, after she received her charm from her friends, she was able to recognize that said friends were anything but an obstacle like Yumika had said. Yes, this sort of friendship lesson is more than a little played out, but from a character standpoint, it worked fine for Madoka. Other little elements I liked included them seemingly not dropping the Mr. Kaguya subplot, please writers don't let this one go to waste, and Sakurako's somewhat terrifying yet still hilarious antics. Combine that all with an archery competition that I could connect with on more personal levels, and you have the makings for a pretty good episode. Not a great one, as this was still very much filler, but it was a decent follow-up to last week's Madoka episode, so we should be covered for her for a while. Thus, we can move on to some new stuff next week, like going right back to Planet Zenny already.
Look, there's inductive reasoning, there's deja vu, there's language processing, there's deja vu.
Sorry to say that next week's review is going to be delayed again, and this time at least until the following Wednesday. We're going to see my sister and her husband over the 3-day weekend. She's moving back to Hawaii very soon to give birth, so we gotta make sure she's ready to go. Still, I'll try to get that review up as soon as I can, as well as my next big review before then. So look forward to both, and until then though, farewell for now my friends, and here's hoping that the uncle doesn't have to buy too many of these blatant product placements for his future niece. Oh boy.